Good day, colleagues. We trust that you are doing well, and we are quite excited to be here. And when I say we, two ladies on my left and right, they will introduce themselves now in a moment. My name is Asif Kafoor, and I'm part of the publishing team within the TVET space, producing and bringing you these wonderful products. And our purpose and mission in today's session will be to introduce you to our level 3 products for specifically the NCV coding and robotics syllabus that has started this year with level 2 and will be progressing towards level 4 towards 2025. So my name is Asif Kafoor, and welcome, and we trust that you will gain benefit from today's session, where we will take you through the books and the products and show you the features, benefits and advantages of our product, so that you know how you benefit as a lecturer and the students within the TVET sector benefit from our products. So without further ado, I'm going to go to my left hand side, and please introduce yourself.
Hi there, I'm Amira Juta. I am the managing editor working on the NCV L3 product range. I see the books from manuscript all the way to final print. I project manage that entire process.
Awesome, thanks a lot, Amira. So bringing the magic to the idea of the books with the content together. On my right, we have...
Hello everyone, I am Yondela Mlonzi, and I am part of the publishing team in the TVET space. For those that may not know me, I am from the TVET college space. I've been lecturing for 10 years now, and I have lectured in business studies, business management, specializing in entrepreneurship, as well as in education, specializing in psychology. So I do have some in-depth knowledge. I'm certain that I'll bring in valuable input into our content.
Awesome. So now we've met the magic team, and this is just at the forefront, because behind us, not the bookshelf, but behind us, we have also an amazing team that works tirelessly to meet the submission deadlines, because you know there's a submission title, to submit our books to the DHET for screening, and to produce a product that, as Yondela mentioned and Amira mentioned, has insights, knowledge of what the market actually wants and needs. And we don't say that from a desktop research background. We say that from an actual experience background of going into the market, being in the classrooms for more than 10 years. So we trust that the knowledge that we have poured into these books, together with the editorial team, the content team, all marries together to bring to you one beautiful product that speaks to, most importantly, the DHET syllabus that everybody is guided by, all publishers, all books, so we do not deviate from that. Before we get into the level 3 books, I trust that level 2 is going super well on your side, and that you've had a successful June, July mid-year examination, and that you are now successfully steaming your way through to the end of this year towards the national examinations, or more closely your internal examinations and your ISAT projects and all that combination of assessments, your ICAS assessments, that eventually allows your students, your proud students, to enter the national examinations. And we, I don't know about you, Yondela and Amira, even from your side, we're quite nervous but also excited to see what DHET is going to bring about in the national examination. And working closely with the developer of the curriculum, we have ensured that we've covered every possible avenue that could be used for national examination assessment purposes, and that you will find in the textbook. So behind me you will see the level 2 range with robotics, programming and electronics. And to my immediate left over here is the integrated workbook, which we are super proud of. And not to put the feather in our own cap, but I think we're the only publisher that has produced an integrated workbook. So yeah, I think pat myself. We'll pat the team on the back. We have to just bring out those milestone achievements. And it's not for the accolades that we wanted, but it's for the benefit of your students and for their success and ultimate knowledge in coding and robotics. And together with that, we've merged partnership now solidly with our industry partner, Resolute Robotics, that produces kits, bespoke kits that speak specifically to the book. Because I mean, a book in coding and robotics is useless without actually using your hands. So we have the kit, and the kit is beautifully designed in a box with all your components and parts, and students engage in this fully developed product. And what we've excitedly done for level 3, and I won't share too much because that's a different segment again that you need to watch, is we've built onto this knowledge with a booster kit and includes then the level 3 syllabus outcomes to build on knowledge so that it's not sitting in different silos. So level 2 students will then remember what they did in level 2, moving into level 3. So we wish you all of the best for your college and your students for level 2 and the examinations, and we trust that your retention and throughput rates will be amazing so that your level 3 students can see what we have on the table here, our level 3 products. So Yondela, I'm going to move straight over to you in terms of just pinpointing and identifying the features, benefits and advantages that you find very interesting as a 10-year lecturer from the TVET College. What have you found interesting in this book? And then Amira, I'm going to have you explain to us and our audience what the ideal thinking behind that was, because Amira, as you mentioned, is part of the editing team that puts all the magic to the content that we gain from our subject matter experts, our authors, and be sure to catch their segments of the webinar as well to understand what each book entails. So, Yandela, what features catch your eye immediately?
So, the first thing, it is the color coding. Literally, when you start lecturing, and often as a lecturer, you would forget the page numbers, or you might not have the page number. But immediately, if you tell students, if the modules are color coded, it will be easy, I suppose.
Yeah.
Amira, for the student to quickly go to that module and find the topic.
Yeah.
So that for me stood out as I opened the book, learning outcomes. Certainly, because I mean, students, and we only have the syllabus whereby we see the learning outcomes, and having to tell them the learning outcomes would often take up your teaching time. So yeah.
Time is a very valuable thing in our classrooms.
So the learning outcomes that we get, and it was taken directly from the THE syllabus that we've put in there. It gives the students a direct idea of what they can expect to get from each chapter and obviously from the book itself. That's a very important element, as well as the unit structure breakdown as well. Yeah, that's a really good feature we've included. And you mentioned the color coordination. That I think, from my experience in TVET thus far, I've never seen something colorful when it comes to programming. So it's quite visually appealing for different learners who learn differently. So yeah, good elements.
It is definitely. And the module vocabulary, it's always nice for, as a student, I mean, I've been a student, to actually have an idea of what you'll be exposed to. So it gives you, that guide or that idea as to, this is what I'll be looking at, and maybe I should research it. It spikes up that curiosity to go and look it up.
Active learning for the students' part.
And also the nice element about the module vocabulary is with that you get different definitions of those vocabulary throughout the chapter. So it's not like as you see the vocabulary, you're scared by it. You already know, okay, it's going to take me directly to a definition of that word. I now know it, I feel comfortable with it, and that's a nice element.
And I think an amazing feature that you mentioned now is that it's not only given out of context at the beginning, but it's actually given in context and where it appears in the book. The definition is provided for them so that they can understand in full relation to the actual field, Because I mean, the word field in agriculture will mean something different to the word field in programming, for example. So they get context around it. So that's quite an added level of exposure to the words. Nice.
And the QR codes, that is super cool. I mean, we live in the digital, like digital is now, we're in the center of adopting, and I know in the TVET space, that's where we are also moving to, as much as it is slow, but we're getting there. So it's actually good to sort of have that as an option.
Yeah. One thing with that is we're trying to accommodate for, like I mentioned earlier on, different learners, and like the QR code is a nice aspect for the digital learner. But just to mention, it is also extra information. We're very sensitive to learners who don't have access digitally. So the main information you will find within the book. So the main content is there, but that QR code just adds a little fun aspect for digital learners.
Oh, certainly. Yeah,
and that is a very good, like you said, transition. Because we call a spade in the TVET space. Things are happening very well, it's progressing along, but it's not progressing as fast as what the labor market needs are requiring. So exposing students to a digital format of learning and researching and things, it also places the content which they're learning for the first time into their world. TikTok, YouTube, all of that. That is what excites students.
That those
with some like the pictures, some like the words, others like the videos. Majority leans towards videos. And what we do with those videos, interestingly, is we don't just take any video. Often it is carefully researched by the authors to ensure not only that it is specific to the content, but that it's a micro lesson. We don't put 1 hour videos on. We don't put videos that are spoken in a different accent or language. We try and keep it as local as possible, relatable as possible, and as short as possible, but impactful. So that is the key understanding, and that is where Amira and the team also came in to scrutinize and curate those videos that were suggested, and the ones that made the book were the ones that followed those guidelines for micro lessons, localized and engaged.
Okay. And the tasks, the activities, the class activities that you have here are quite interesting. To break away from the teaching, you need that to keep the students engaged.
You mentioned earlier active learning. So we have the multiple tasks, we have the worked examples which are also included. So there is a bit of self-learning there, but with assistance as well.
And it's spread across, it's individual, it's peer by peer, groups as well. Because you obviously you don't want to assess the student individually only, you want to, they must collaborate as well, and so on.
And we know in our TVET classrooms we sit sometimes with 30, 35, 40 learners in a classroom. So with your 45, 50-minute period, depending on how your college sets up your timetable, you don't always have the time to do individual learning, but you also don't want to move the work onto them, but you want to also give them the ownership of their studies. Instead of the traditional sense of talk and chalk, you're moving away from that, where they can do a bit of self-learning, feed their curiosity, and look at a worked example, then struggle through an actual task, and then nicely those task answers you don't need to work out, they form part of the lecturer guide, which is part of the product package that we do have for level 3. So all the answers for the tasks are in the lecturer guide, where it can be provided. Others, students might give varied answers, so we give suggested answers, and you need to use your discretion as a lecturer in terms of other responses that students come up with, because I do believe that our learners teach us also a thing or two in their great exposure of the world and the digital world. So that is a definite. Before we move on to another feature, just drawing back to where we got the learning outcomes and the module vocabulary, I see there's a starting point.
Mm.
And I love stories. I don't know. Because stories, you ask a student, what did they learn yesterday? It's a bit of thinking. But ask them what happened in the soapy they watched yesterday. They will know. Hey, this one happened.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to relate to a story. So I see there is a story here. Is it just a story, or is there any thought put behind these stories that are at each module?
So yeah, this is probably my favorite feature out of all the books, the starting point. It's basically a given relatable scenario for each chapter. We use a picture, we use relatable names as well. We have diverse characters, we have diverse names, so it's very it just gives the learner a bit of a background of what they will be introduced to into the content, but in a more relatable way, instead of just going straight, okay, this is coding, this is how we're going to function it, blah blah blah. I like the idea of a little story, a little ease into content.
And I think the benefit, because I've just read through a few of them before we started recording, but it's problem-based stories. So it's not just telling you what you're going to learn. It's telling you the problem that exists and why you are going to learn what you're going to learn to solve a problem. And the outcomes of what you're learning solves whatever problem, whether it is a labor market need, whether it is an actual practical application. So it's problem-based learning, and that we felt through, and as Jundela mentioned, we've had numerous conversations around educational psychology, and that is a forte where she comes from. And that helps build students' cognitive competence and capacity in terms of problem solving and not spoon feeding. So I love this feature as well of the books.
Certainly. The module summary, I love this. I see there's that as well.
Mine quickly.
Yeah, it's actually quite interesting because often students would run and look for the module summary just to get an idea of what the module is about.
Think of it like this: if you buy a book, also you walk into exclusive books, you want to know, is this something worth reading? Just turn to the back,
and just see.
This should be interesting. And then we take it on that account.
I see there's a self-evaluation checklist at the end of the module as well. It's quite interesting.
So these self-evaluation checklists together with the editing team was designed not only to repeat the learning outcomes that was at the beginning of each module, but to create a structured approach for students to actually take ownership of their studies. Before we get to a task or an assessment, you need to understand, do they understand that they must know their work? So the checklist just has 4 columns. The one is the learning outcome, separated, LO1, LO2, LO3, blah, blah, blah. Yes and not yet, and a page reference. So when students tick yes, they must be made aware that when they say yes, they are not saying yes, I read it. They're saying yes, I know. If you ask me a question, I know what to say. Not yet, okay, I was absent, I'll get there, but I'll get there. And what they don't know yet, there's the page reference column, so that they can go immediately to that page instead of looking through the whole module where to find this answer for, or this heading for this learning outcome. And what I used to do in class, and this is why the checklist became such a prominent feature in the book, the checklist you can do in class or at home. So you can do it if you have time in class, but it's best to do it at home. Give students time to simmer on what they've done for the day. Go home, read through the module summary, and tick off yes I know, or no I don't know, but honesty. So when they come back the next day, you just walk around, oh Mark, you said yes, you know how to define robotics, define it. No sir, I just read it. No, when you tick yes, it means you know it. So you teach them the value of the checklist and do it immediately at module 1. And so you go to the next one. Okay, you don't know it, look at the page, that's where you'll find the answer. Right, Sally, you also have yes. What is it? It is blah blah blah. Ah, excellent. You ticked yes. You didn't tick anything. What happened? Oh no, so I was absent. So this checklist becomes a nice quality assurance tool. And that is what I love about this.
A ticking exercise.
It's not just a ticking exercise.
Certainly. practical task at the end of the module, and test your knowledge theory questions. So that's basically your revision questions.
Yes, for the module.
This is so good because once you've done with the module, obviously, and the checklist, you want to see if the students understand. So they must test their knowledge. And because TVETs are big on practical, there's a practical component to see that they can apply, because it's all about can they do what or apply what they've been taught. So it's not just about knowing and explaining, but practically, because that's what a college is about. So I actually like this feature, and I think that it will be beneficial for the student as well.
And definitely the way it was structured together with the editing team is that we've looked at sample question papers, in ICAS papers, external papers, and because there's a new syllabus, we had to rely on relatable subjects in the engineering and IT fields, which makes up coding and robotics. And as Yondela asked me earlier, like the marks itself also help guide the students on how far to answer a question. So what is explain versus list. But when you see explain, you see it's 5 marks in comparison to list, which is 2 marks or something. So the effort that you put into the response is much less, because we know when students see explain and they just list,
they want to
they want
explain. The mark allocation will guide them. Which is good.
And these 2 components you'll find at the end of each module.
Okay, so it's only testing that specific section of work, which is good. You're not overwhelming them, but introducing them, continuous assessment, you're introducing them continuously, and then you just move to the next module, next beautiful color, and the same features.
Same features for all the modules. And at the end of the book, I see there's a sample.
My book is a bit thicker than yours. I'm getting to my end. It's program.
National examination. Because I mean, as a lecturer, I know that students are always interested in knowing what's the structure of the exam, because I mean they're studying towards that, and that's the one of the things that we tell them. You must prepare for your exam, like whatever assessments that they're doing throughout the year or the semester or the term, it prepares them for the assessment, for the finals. So it's quite interesting to see that there is a mock examination, so they can at least have an idea of what to expect in the exam.
And just 2 points on this, so that you are aware, because the HET creates the national examinations, we design this as best as we can based on our knowledge from TVET College and how national examinations are set up, and also looking at the weightings in the syllabus. We've also looked at which are assessed in paper 1 and paper 2. So in this course, for all 3 subjects, there's a theory paper, paper 1, and a practical paper, paper 2. And we have both sets of sample national papers in here. As a guide, because we are all anxiously waiting for the end of the year to see what the actual national papers look like for not a revised syllabus, but a totally new syllabus. So if you get the papers before us, let us know. But as soon as we get it, we will mark it up against ours and check where there are areas for improvement to ensure that the next round of books and students are more geared up towards the success in the national examination.
And
so we're not going to go through each module, but you'll find your starting point, your learning outcomes, your module summary, your checklist, your end of module exam plus practical, and at the end of the book, the national examination papers, which brings me then to what you are asking me. So what about the lecturer?
I mean that's one of the things that, because we've mentioned that the activities in the book, there's a mock exam. The lecturers are probably thinking,
tasks,
where are the answers? Are you going to give us answers? Because we mentioned that it's a new syllabus.
New syllabus and content. And
So I'm
how
assuming-
valuable time is.
So I'm assuming that's all the lecturers want to know.
Convenience.
All the answers
Are
in
the
the
answers,
lecture.
because you don't want to sit during your holidays in December preparing for level 3 and working out
Answers and tasks, yes.
and tasks.
And as much, and you know, we'll speak openly and honestly, as much time as we have also to relax and things like that is valuable for us, for
It
our
is.
mental health and things
No,
like that. So
certainly.
we know that answers take up a lot of time, preparing assessments
preparing,
take up a lot of time. And all of these you will also find if at the end of the assessment, the theory, there is true and false, filling the missing word, things like that. It's also available on our digital platform in EduZone. So it becomes self-marking assessments that students can then go through instead of on here and now you must marketing class, blah, blah, blah. If you are a prescribing lecturer and ask your sales consultant for more details on that, you will get access to the free resources on EduZone in which we provide then the module questions, PowerPoint presentations. I don't know about you. I love PowerPoint. I love my presentations and stuff at the front. And what we did beautifully was created PowerPoint presentations, brief, not word for word.
Yeah, that's good.
For each module, so that you can decide. And we didn't lock the PowerPoint; we kept it open. So if you feel I want more
You can
pictures,
add
I
on,
want you add
Yeah.
on, you go for it. It's
Yeah.
your class.
You
You
can
are the king and
personalize,
queen of
yeah.
your classroom. Personalize it, but we provide you with the fun. So Yandela, what features have you found beneficial in the lecturer guide? Now let's take it a moment there.
Besides
Okay.
the answers,
Okay,
please.
Besides the
besides the
answers.
answers, obviously, because when I picked this up, I looked through it. I was like, this is convenience in a book, literally, because you are in class. You must be in class for how many? 30 hours a week.
Yeah,
You
30 to
literally have
35.
Yeah, you literally have maybe 5 admin periods. That's your attendance and your marking and whatnot.
And each college has their own timetable
Timetable, and you
structure.
never know. Yeah, you never know. So lesson plans. I mean, especially for a new. Obviously, we carry over our lesson plans and
Yes.
we alter
This
them
is
as we go
new.
along. But this is new. So
Yes.
I mean, having a lesson plan, a suggested or proposed lesson plan will
Yes.
sort of give you a guide as to where you can go.
And how
And
long
how
to
long.
spend on certain
Exactly.
units and outcomes. And it's
Yeah.
given in a nice table format that tells you where there are tasks available, where there are assessments available. And I see the last 2 columns are empty, Amira. So I know you and the design team have put that there specifically, not because we're missing information, but that is because each college has their own face
structure,
setter
Yeah.
and year plan. So you will complete it as a lecturer in terms of
Just
which
fill it
date
Which
you
date
completed, you starting completed, and the column next door is completed, because we know in certain POAs, I know at my college, my HOD and program manager wanted to see the
So they must
signature,
see even the
you sign off the lesson.
JHT officials when they come, Lucy, when they want to see the date. The auditors when they come,
Yes.
dates matter because they don't want you to recycle. Maybe you just took something from last year or 5 years ago. It must be current, so that is very crucial for them.
Yeah,
So,
so
yeah.
these are kind of copy paste, photocopy, place in your portfolio of assessment, and then I think it's after the year plan. There's a
assessment
year
guide,
plan.
There is a
Yeah.
year planner.
So
That's
this
also important
nicely
to know.
lays out all, and not 52 weeks, because we don't teach for every week in the year. We included where possibly the term break would be. We looked at the TVET calendars, the approved calendars, where we can find them. We plugged in more or less where your term 1 assessment must take place, your PAT 1, your practical assessment task, your term 2, PAT 2, ISAT, internal exam, and more or less where the national examinations take place.
Yeah.
We've also integrated where the workbook can also be done. So we've given the best thought and insights into this year planner for you to further develop and perfect, suitable
to
for your POA.
Yeah.
And then after this year planner, I see,
Subject assessment. I see
is it
subject
before?
assessment
It's
plan.
before.
Before, yeah.
Yes, the subject assessment plan,
for the lecturer.
which you know as the columns of which assessment, the weighting, what is being covered, who's the examiner, moderator, but we don't put that in because you have that information, not us. So we just provide you with the template, and there's one for the lecturers POA and one for the students POE, because we know how important that
That
contract
is, yeah.
at the beginning is with the students,
Yeah.
so that when they come back and say, ma'am,
I
you
didn't
didn't
know.
say we're writing an assessment, we're like, hey, but Mark, you signed here.
Yeah, that's
there you
the
go.
favorite line. I
But
didn't
so,
know you
what are we
didn't say.
doing in test 2? If you look over here, it says we are covering module,
Mhm.
and these again are suggestive,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which we feel in the progression of the modules, what needs to be covered,
Yeah.
what can be covered in a reasonable amount of time, and what can be tested.
Yeah.
So again, suggestive, but coming from insights of lecturers that has been in the classroom,
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the NCV and
Yeah.
TVET space.
Yeah.
And that covers the tasks and everything for all the modules, as well as the sample national examinations
Yeah.
at the
Mhm.
back. And even for the lecturers, we didn't forget about you and the digital goodies
I have
Yeah.
a couple of QR codes.
For
as additional
resources.
resources.
Mm-hmm.
So these are different to the ones that are in the student book. So again, curated by the editing team. The lecturers has put in specific videos that they feel will help you as a lecturer facilitate the subject better. So some background knowledge on the coding of Python or
yeah.
Scratch or
Yeah.
M blocks or whatever you're using. Some information on the components in electronics, transducers, relays, all those things, but specific to the syllabus and for your added knowledge, so that you can share with students not only what's in the book, because when they get to the world out there, it's going to be much more than this book.
Yeah.
This is a guide, and we trust that you will also benefit from these digital resources. Yeah, so those are the key features around the lecturer guide as well,
Yeah.
which I actually appreciate when it comes to, like you say, saving us time.
Definitely.
So this kind of in a nutshell wraps up what the level 3 product range looks like. We have the 3 student books, we have the 3 lecturer guides, and we have 1 integrated workbook so that your students can show off their knowledge in a beautiful practical project, which links up to the level 2 Raspberry Pi Rover. And you will know that for level 3 they're using the Arduino, so we've also incorporated that into the booster kit, which is done by our industry partner, Resolute Education. So with all 7 products, procurement sometimes take place already early in the year for the next year.
Yeah.
So please get in touch with your TVET sales consultant to find out the ISBN numbers, which is the ID number of the book, so that your procurement finance team can list it onto their orders to secure your books early for next year for level 3 students. And we trust that your retention and throughput rate is going to be 100%, and that if you are not using our level 2 books, we encourage you to request a desk or review copy so that you can check it out for yourself. If you don't want the paper-based one, you can request from the TVET sales consultant as well a digital version, a flip-through digital experience of the book, to make your decision from there.
Yeah.
What else is there? I've mentioned that we have EduZone, which is the digital platform. So once you prescribe the books, you get access codes to that, together with Oxford's learning management system, the digital hub EduZone. Resolute Education also has their LMS, where the videos, tutorials for the workbook rests again on their LMS. So students are covered in all directions and angles when it comes to the content, the books, and so forth. Then if you were part of our professional development program, I think it was in March or April this year for level 2, that I believe was a roaring success with the colleges that were pulled together and that form part of a training initiative. We know that DHET is doing the training, but they have not selected all the lecturers, and possibly after they've done the training, what happens, Amira, when you come next year to college, then they say, oh, you're a new lecturer, or you seem more competent, let's give you the subject. So somebody that has maybe attended will get a different subject allocation the following year.
Yeah.
And to keep the advantage, we've checked what DHET was training on, we've packaged it beautifully as well, and we provide that, and I think it is a full 2-day training session, intense training, amazing learning experiences with the authors around how to teach,
Yeah.
what to teach, when to teach.
Mm.
So all that type of methodologies and content to help you and your students along their journey in coding and robotics. So please be sure to check out all the different segments for level 3. Go back to our resource hub for the level 2. Visit our social media pages, subscribe, like the pages to stay up to date with any new developments that we have in the program and TVET in general. And we wish you the best for the remainder of this year for level 2. Welcome to the colleges that has been secured and approved for next year for level 2. We hope to see you in our TVET NCV family and midst, and then also for the level 3s that will be progressing next year from the current level 2s this year. So from my side, Amira and Yondela, I've had much fun going through these books once more again with you. I trust that you have gained as much benefit from these books as what we've explained, and you've experienced it already. So from my side, thank you for joining us and taking time out to actually view the content with us. We trust that you've had an enjoyable time, and Amira, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy day as well.
Thank you.
And awesome work, you and your team, and
Thank
Yondela
you.
as well, working with the authors very closely to get the content into the books and produce these beautiful products that we have here for you for level 3. So yeah, if you missed anything, pause, rewind, listen again. But from us, have a beautiful day, beautiful end of the year, and we will chat to you soon, hopefully in the near future.
All the best. Bye.
Bye.